This is the HEZZO R1 electric dirt bike, and I've spent a lot of time digging into what this machine really is, how it stacks up on the trail, and what you should expect if you're considering it. I'm talking from my own experience with electric dirt bikes, and from closely following owner reports, long-term reviews, and the official specs for this exact model, which you may also see called the Reroad R1. I'll keep it straight, clear, and focused on what matters when you actually ride and maintain a bike like this. Key features that stand out right away: an 8,000-watt peak mid-drive motor, a 72 volts 35-hour battery rated at 2,520 watt-hours, dual hydraulic disc brakes, full suspension with inverted front forks and an adjustable rear shock, 19-inch tires, and multiple ride modes with a claimed top speed of about 52.8 mph. The spec sheet also says 330 Nm of peak torque at the wheel. In plain language, torque is the twisting force that gets the bike moving and keeps it climbing when the terrain points up. A mid-drive motor sits in the frame and drives the chain, which helps centralize weight and keep the wheels lighter for better suspension response and handling. From my experience, the power delivery on bikes in this class is what hooks you. When a mid-drive setup is tuned well, the throttle feels immediate and climbing feels almost effortless. Owners of the R1 consistently describe that hit as strong right off the line and still healthy at mid-speed. Some early units were said to bog just past 30 miles per hour, but more recent comments suggest the current controller tune pulls cleanly through to the low 50s. On dirt, that's more than enough speed. The bigger deal is how stable it feels getting there, and this chassis suspension package has been called plush and composed. The front is inverted, which adds stiffness, and the rear shock is adjustable so you can dial in sag for your weight. If you're new, sag is how much the bike settles under your body. Getting it right makes the suspension work as intended and keeps steering sharp. In my opinion, suspension is where the R1 earns a lot of goodwill. Many riders end up upgrading forks and shocks right away on other bikes in this category. The commentary around the R1's stock setup is that it already feels cushy, tracks well in chop, and doesn't ping you off rocks with harsh rebound. That means you can spend your budget riding instead of wrenching on suspension upgrades from day one. Braking is a strong point too. Dual hydraulic disc brakes use fluid pressure to clamp the pads, which gives you power and consistent feel. On steep descents and loose surfaces, having reliable hydraulics matters, and the reports call the R1's brakes solid. If you're new, remember that strong brakes can only do their job with quality tires and good technique. The standard 19-inch wheels give you a nice blend of rollover and traction off-road. Let's talk about the headline numbers that generate the most debate: range and charging. The listing claims 74.6 miles on a charge and a 4-hour quick charge. Other places list 5 to 8 hours. That inconsistency is real, and it's one of my biggest concerns. From my experience with 72-volt systems and based on rider logs I've seen, you should calibrate your expectations. With 2520 watt-hours on board and an 8,000-watt peak motor, hard trail riding drains the pack quickly. Typical real-world range when you're pushing it is closer to 25 to 35 miles. If you slow down and use eco mode, 50+ miles is possible, but that's at a mellow pace that doesn't showcase what this motor can do. If your plans include long, remote loops, you'll either need a charging plan or a second battery solution, which adds cost and complexity. The battery itself gets decent marks for longevity. LG cells and a competent BMS are often cited, and at least one long-term owner report past the 2,000-mile mark still shows solid performance with careful use. If you're new, BMS stands for Battery Management System. It helps protect the pack from overcharging, over-discharging, and overheating. Good care is simple. Avoid deep discharges, don't store it full or empty for long periods. Keep it out of extreme temperatures, and let it rest a bit after hard rides before charging. Now the thorny part: branding and support. You'll see this bike sold as the HEZZO R1, the R1 Beast, and most commonly referenced by owners as the Reroad R1. The listed manufacturer is Zhejiang Speedy Flying Industry and Trade Co. Ltd. In my opinion, this fragmented identity is more than a naming quirk. It affects warranty clarity, parts sourcing, and community support. The product page says a 2-year limited warranty, and that's great, but anytime you have multiple names on one platform, buyers will wonder who actually handles claims and how quickly parts arrive. I also noticed inconsistent specs and even odd typos in listings. That might seem small, but it doesn't help trust when you're considering a machine that you'll potentially ride hard and rely on. Parts and upgrades are another gray area. I've seen people say it shares some DNA with Sur-Ron or Teleria, but others say key dimensions and mounts differ. From my experience, owning an electric dirt bike is easier when there's a mature aftermarket. It's not just about customization. It's about being able to find a lever, rotor, or linkage quickly. The R1 doesn't yet have the same ecosystem, which means you might wait longer for certain spares or do some DIY fitment. If you're the type who likes to tinker, that may be fine. If you want plug-and-play parts with tons of options, this is a factor. Ergonomics and comfort are better than I expected. The seat gets called out as surprisingly comfortable for hour-long sessions, and the cockpit adjustability helps riders of different sizes find a neutral stance. For new riders, that neutral stance means elbows up, weight slightly forward, and the controls where your wrists don't kink. All of that matters when you're standing over rough ground and need a bike that moves with you, not against you. The frame is forged or heavily reinforced aluminum, which keeps weight reasonable while staying stiff. The Amazon listing shows 152 pounds for item weight. That puts it in the middle of the lightweight e-moto group. On the trail, a low center of gravity from the frame-integrated battery helps the bike feel more nimble than the number suggests. Noise and feel are very approachable. Mid-drives make a whir, not a roar. You can hear your tires and the ground, which helps with line choice. The LCD is clear, ride modes are easy to switch, and the bike gives you enough data to manage your ride without a bunch of fuss. Simple stuff like a good mudguard is included, and it's nice not to buy that separately. It's perfect for riders who want big power out of the box without spending half the bike's price on immediate upgrades. Short, fast sessions on local trails or a private track are where it shines. I'd recommend this for someone who values a plush stock suspension, strong brakes, and that instant electric torque, and who is comfortable with the trade-offs. Modest real-world range when ridden hard, a less established parts ecosystem, and branding that can make support less straightforward. From my experience, the best way to decide is to map your actual use. If your rides are 10 to 20 miles of aggressive single-track or open two-track with a truck nearby, the R1's strengths line up nicely. If you're planning 40-mile backcountry loops with no charging and no bailout, you'll need to ride slow and eco or look at platforms with bigger packs or swappable batteries and broader community support. Charging depends on the charger spec you receive. Some listings claim 4 hours, others mention 5 to 8. Faster chargers push more current, which shortens wait time, but can add heat and stress if used carelessly. A good practice is to alternate fast and normal charges when you can, and don't hammer the pack hot off the charger. A quick note on legality and safety. Check local rules on where an electric motorcycle of this power can be ridden. Wear real armor, full-face helmet, gloves, boots, knee and elbow protection, and a chest back protector. Powerful bikes make it easy to get in over your head, and quality gear is cheaper than a hospital bill. In my opinion, the HEZZO R1 is a high-performance, high-fun machine with a few question marks that come with being the newer face on the block. The riding experience is rewarding, the suspension is above average for stock, and the motor hits hard. The soft spots are range under aggressive use, the scattered branding, and the uncertainty around long-term parts interchangeability. In conclusion, this bike makes a lot of sense if you want max miles per mile in shorter bursts and don't want to spend months upgrading suspension and controls. If a deep aftermarket, ironclad dealer network, or long-range trail days are your top priorities, you may want to compare it directly against Sur-Ron and Talaria at a local demo and see which compromises you're willing to accept. You can find detailed information about the HEZZO R1 electric dirt bike in the comments section. See you in the next video.